This is Oliver. Oliver is a peaceful, hard-working stickman who finally achieved his ultimate financial goal. After 15 long years of saving money, working late hours, and living in noisy rental apartments, he bought a beautiful suburban house. The property is located in a prestigious, quiet neighborhood called Whisperwood. The streets are perfectly clean, the lawns are uniformly green, and the air smells like blooming flowers. Oliver feels an incredible sense of pride. He bought this house for $400,000. He believes he is the absolute king of his own castle. He believes that, because he pays the property taxes and holds the deed, he has the ultimate right to do whatever he wants with his land. Oliver is completely wrong. Today, Oliver is going to discover a terrifying legal entity that operates like a private, militarized dictatorship inside the borders of free countries. He is about to enter the dark world of the Homeowners Association, commonly known as the HOA. We are going to show you how a group of bored neighbors can legally fine you thousands of dollars, dictate what color you paint your own front door, and ultimately seize your property and sell it at an auction for a tiny, unpaid debt. To understand Oliver's trap, we must look at the day he closed the deal on his home. When Oliver sat in the lawyer's office, he was handed a giant stack of papers. He was so excited about getting the keys that he didn't read the 300-page document titled Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, or the CC&Rs. In modern suburban developments, developers do not just build houses. They create a legal corporation called the HOA to maintain the aesthetic value of the neighborhood. When you buy a house in these areas, you are legally forced to join the HOA. You have zero choice. By signing the purchase agreement, you sign away your private property rights and agree to obey every single rule written in their secret Bible. Oliver discovered the reality of this contract on his second week in the house. Oliver is an artistic stickman. He wanted to paint his mailbox a warm, happy shade of sunshine yellow to make his home look welcoming. He bought a can of premium paint, spent 2 hours working on Saturday, and went to bed happy. On Monday morning, he found an official orange envelope taped to his front door. It was a formal violation notice from the HOA Board of Directors. The letter stated, "Under Section 14 of the Neighborhood Charter, all mailboxes must be painted in official federal standard beige. You have 48 hours to repaint your mailbox, or you will face a daily fine of $50. Oliver laughed. He thought it was a joke. He threw the letter into the trash. "This is my house," Oliver told himself. "I paid $400,000 for this property. A group of local neighbors cannot tell me what to do with my mailbox." But the HOA was not joking. 3 weeks passed. Oliver completely forgot about the beige paint. Then he opened his mail and found a bill for $1,000 in accumulated fines. Oliver's blood began to boil. He decided to attend the monthly HOA board meeting to explain his situation to reasonable human beings. He walked into the community center expecting a friendly town hall. Instead, he found a scene that looked like a supreme military court. Sitting at a long table were 3 elderly stickmen, led by a strict, retired administrator named Karen. Karen held a clipboard, a ruler, and a magnifying glass. These people didn't have jobs, they didn't have hobbies, and they had absolute, unchecked power over the lives of 500 families. "Mr. Oliver," Karen said coldly, looking over her glasses, "the rules are the rules. We must maintain the perfect aesthetic harmony of Whisperwood. If we allow you to have a yellow mailbox, tomorrow your neighbors will paint their houses purple, park rusty trucks on their lawns, and destroy the property values of the entire block. You must pay the fine immediately and paint the mailbox beige." Oliver tried to argue, but Karen banged her wooden gavel and moved to the next agenda item. Oliver left the meeting in a state of absolute shock. He realized that his dream of independent home ownership was a complete illusion. He didn't own his castle. He was renting a property from a miniature corporate government, and his landlord was a group of power-hungry, retired neighbors who spent their days measuring the height of his grass with plastic rulers. Oliver was a stubborn stickman. He refused to let a group of retired neighbors intimidate him. He decided to ignore the $1,000 bill. He believed that under the Constitution of his country, private property was sacred. He believed that no private club could take his land away without his permission. This was Oliver's second major mistake. While Oliver was going to work and living his life, the HOA board did not sit idle. Every Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock, Karen walked onto Oliver's property with her plastic ruler and a digital camera. She noticed that Oliver's grass was 4 inches tall. The neighborhood charter clearly stated that grass must never exceed 3.5 inches. Karen took a photo. That was another $50 fine. She noticed that Oliver parked his small work van on his own paved driveway overnight. The charter stated that all commercial vehicles must be parked inside a closed garage. Another $75 fine. She noticed that Oliver left his plastic trash can on the curb for 12 hours after the garbage truck left. Another $50 fine. Within 4 months, Oliver's file on Karen's desk grew thicker than a phone book. The total amount of fines, late fees, and administrative penalties reached a staggering $5,000. Oliver still refused to pay. He wrote a long, angry letter to the board, calling them thieves and dictators. Then, the HOA board used their ultimate financial weapon. They did not call the police. They did not sue Oliver in a regular civil court. Instead, they hired a specialized corporate law firm that only handles HOA collections. The lawyers sent Oliver a formal document. They applied a legal mechanism called an assessment lien directly against Oliver's property title. A lien is a legal claim attached to your home. Once a lien is placed on your house, you can no longer sell the property. You can no longer refinance your mortgage, and your bank can technically declare that you are in default of your loan agreement. But the nightmare gets even worse. Under the laws of 45 states, an HOA does not need to wait for a government judge to approve their actions. They have the legal authority to execute a non-judicial foreclosure. Oliver came home from work on a rainy Friday evening and found a massive official white sign hammered into his beautiful green lawn. The sign read, "Notice of Trustee Sale." The HOA's law firm had scheduled a public auction to sell Oliver's $400,000 house to the highest bidder in order to collect the $5,000 in unpaid fines and an additional $10,000 in corporate legal fees. Oliver panicked. His hands were shaking. He called a private real estate lawyer and spent $500 for an emergency consultation. He sat in the lawyer's office, expecting the lawyer to tell him that the HOA's actions were completely illegal. The lawyer looked at the paperwork, sighed deeply, and shook his head. "I am sorry, Oliver," the lawyer said. "The law is entirely on their side. When you bought this house, you signed the deed of trust. You voluntarily agreed to their contract. The HOA has the absolute statutory power to foreclose on your home for unpaid assessments. If you do not pay them $15,000 by Tuesday morning, they will sell your house at the courthouse steps, and you will be legally evicted from your own property." Oliver sat in the lawyer's office in absolute silence. He felt like a prisoner in a dystopian movie. He had spent his entire life saving money to achieve the dream of independent home ownership, only to find out that a group of angry, bored seniors could take it all away over the color of a mailbox and the height of his grass. He had no choice. He went to his bank, emptied his emergency savings account, and wrote a check for $15,000 to the HOA's corporate law firm. $10,000 of that money went straight into the pockets of the lawyers, and $5,000 went to the association. The next day, Oliver bought a can of Federal Standard beige paint, went out to his front yard, and painted over his sunshine yellow mailbox, while Karen watched him from her window with a satisfied smile. Oliver's spirit was completely broken. How can a regular stickman avoid the HOA dictatorship trap and protect their private property rights? You must follow 3 core rules of real estate survival. Rule number 1 is the non-HOA deed commandment. When you are looking for a house to buy, tell your real estate agent explicitly that you will only look at properties with 0 HOA oversight. These houses are usually located in older, established historic neighborhoods or slightly outside the city limits. They might not have perfectly uniform green lawns, but they have something much more valuable: true freedom. You can park your work truck, build a greenhouse, and paint your door whatever color you want without a corporate board tracking your daily life. Rule number 2 is the comprehensive bylaw audit. If you absolutely fall in love with a house that is inside an HOA development, do not sign the contract until you hire an independent real estate attorney to audit the CC&Rs. Look closely at the penalty clauses. Look at their authority to place liens and execute non-judicial foreclosures. If the charter allows the boards to change the rules at any time without a unanimous vote from all residents, walk away immediately. You are signing a blank check for a tyrant. Rule number 3 is the political board takeover strategy. If you already live inside an active HOA and you are tired of their micromanagement, do not just complain and ignore the fines. Organize your neighbors. Most HOA elections have an incredibly low voter turnout, sometimes less than 10%. By gathering just 15 or 20 smart, reasonable neighbors, you can vote Karen off the board, elect yourself as the president, and vote to completely dismantle the strict penalty clauses or dissolve the association entirely. Use the system to destroy the system. Oliver sold his house in Whisperwood a year later. He bought an old farm-style house with 3 acres of land in a rural district. His mailbox is bright red. His grass grows as high as he wants, and his nearest neighbor lives 2 miles away. He finally holds the keys to a true castle. True wealth is not about living in an artificial, sterile community designed by a corporate developer. True wealth is autonomy, privacy, and the absolute freedom to control your own life and property. Stay smart. Read the fine print before you sign the deed, and never let a neighborhood committee rule your wallet or your home.